Hello! I'm Jenny Fern, and welcome to my library. Today is going to be another going through my bookshelves and trying to unhaul some books in preparation for other books coming into my home. I'm going to get rid of the stuff that I don't want. So we're going to do these two shelves. Let's get started. First, I have Best in Children's Books. This is a collection of, it looks like parts of other books, maybe some short stories and stuff too. The first thing that they have is a Gulliver's Travels story. So yeah, it looks like it's just abridged children's stuff. I really like anthologies like this. They tend to have these really cool illustrations. My cat is scratching just below the camera, right there. It sounds like Santa's coming to town. Oh. This is Gordon. He is really, really big. He looks like a monster in this. He's really sweet. He's one of the nicest cats, but he's also really persistent. 2 or 3 books that I regret the most getting rid of when I was in maybe high school or something. I was like, oh, I gotta get rid of all these kids' books or whatever. They were these anthologies of English for students, maybe like 3rd, 5th grade students, and they had these really, really cool, like psychedelic 60s, 70s illustrations. They were really, really cool. And books like this remind me of that kind of stuff. Just having the illustrations and how cool they are. So I'm gonna keep this. We have a slew of Nancy Drew. I'm not gonna get rid of these. There's The Hidden Staircase, The Clue in the Crumbling Wall, Mystery of Crocodile Island, Mystery of the Glowing Eye, and The Double Jinx Mystery. I love me some Nancy Drew. I know that they're just a cash grab, but I still like them. I was honestly so disappointed when I learned, I feel like quite late in my life, that Carolyn Keene was not a real person, but rather a collection of different people, because this was just a book series trying to get money out of young people. Well, back here I've hidden a book because I really don't want it, and it's the Darwin Awards. This is one of my husband's books. He got it as a present, I think, and I'm just gonna see if we can get rid of it. Anyway, I'm just really uncomfortable with the idea of profiting off of people dying, and I don't like it. I also feel like this is just an illustration of the lack of empathy within people and how we think it's okay to publish something like this. I'm really uncomfortable with this type of stuff. It sticks with me for a long time. I hate it. I think Louis wants attention after having dinner. He just keeps screaming. How are you? You didn't get enough cuddles today? It's The Casual Vacancy by J.K. Rowling. I want to get rid of this. I don't want this. I don't ever want to read this. Then we have Betwixt by Tara Bray Smith. This says, this fantasy romance will strongly appeal to fans of Stephenie Meyer's Twilight Saga. I read a book called Betwixt because I thought it was this book. I got it from a library and I read it because I was like, I'll read some of the books that I have. And it wasn't the same book. It was by Sarah Dimer, I think. Let me look it up. Oh no, sorry, it wasn't called Betwixt, it was just called Twixt. But for some reason when I saw it, I was like, I own that book. I was at college, the book was at my parents' house at the time. I read it, and then I realized it wasn't the same book. But Twixt was kind of cool. I think I might actually pick up a copy of that and reread it, because it was kind of interesting. I just don't know if I really want something that would be about wandering fae and be disturbing and dark. I don't think I want this. Alright, next book is Polly by Amy Bryant, and I started reading this. I read up to page 61, and I feel like this is what I would have wanted to write when I was in high school. It seems pretty, I don't know, stereotypical punk kind of thing. I think I probably will read this just because it seems like fun nostalgia for me. So I'm gonna keep this. So the book that I used to have over here and I now have out in the void of my house is The Hunchback of Notre Dame by Victor Hugo. That's because I am currently reading this. And can't say I'm doing a great job of it. I haven't been reading it super consistently, but I'll pick it up again hopefully soon. Then there is Dubliners by James Joyce. I do want to read this at some point, and I'm going to keep it. There is The Loved One by Evelyn Waugh, and I really adore this illustration. I don't know really what this is about, but I really want to read this. Just how small it is and the illustration make this like go pretty high up on my to read soon list. Then we have Cheaper by the Dozen by Frank B. Gilbreth Jr. and Ernestine Gilbreth Carey. I've never read this. I know somebody when I was in grade school or middle school was reading this book on the school bus, and I've never read it. Then we have Things, edited by Ivan Howard. This is a collection of science fiction stories, stories of terror and shock. I have read at least some of them. I've gotten through 3 of the stories. I don't remember them at all because I read them so long ago, but I do remember quite enjoying them. Then we have The Maltese Falcon by Dashiell Hammett. I'm going to keep this. And I did also start reading this one. Wow, I got really far. Yeah, I think I got to page 200. And then I stopped reading it. I don't know why. I had a lot of problems finishing anything when I was younger. I actually had a really hard time reading books when I was younger. I didn't really read very much as a young person. Like, you know how you have those reading challenges where you're supposed to read like a certain amount every day? I never actually did those, and my mom just signed them, so whoops. Look at me now. We're kind of scooching into my nonfiction section. This is about like the solar system and stuff. This is my rocket propulsion textbook, so we're not going to talk about that, but there is one that I might actually read through, and it's Chasing Hubble's Shadows by Jeff Canipe. This is, as you can imagine, a book all about the Hubble telescope. So we learned a lot of stuff from Hubble, so this would be cool to read. Okay, now we have these books, starting with Operation Peeg. This is a children's book that I got as a library discard, and I read up to page 82, and then I stopped reading it. I was reading this when we lived in our old rented house, when Clover, my little doggy, was just a puppy. So I have good memories of reading this on the couch while she was just a little teeny baby. I never finished this, but I'm going to hold on to it, and I hope to read it completely at some point. And then here we have Best from Fantasy and Science Fiction, the 9th installment, edited by Robert P. Mills. This is a bunch of short fiction, and I haven't read any of these stories, but I'm definitely going to keep this. This is the kind of stuff I love. Here we have an ace double feature, The Rim of Space and Secret Agent of Terra, and I don't think I've read any of either of these. So I'm going to keep this. They both look fun. I love the art on these books. And then there's Stellar Short Novels, edited by Judy Lynn Del Rey. There's one by Gordon R. Dixon, who I've read before, Andrew J. Offutt, and Richard S. Weinstein. And we have Pachinko by Min Jin Lee, and this is a huge book and one that's well talked about and people tend to like. I don't know how long it'll take for me to get to this. And I don't even really know if I'm going to enjoy it. Wow, this book had a smell. This might be something that I get rid of like 10 years from now. Then we have Earthborn by Orson Scott Card. In my previous video in this series, I talked about this Homecoming series that I have a ton of the books from this series, but I don't have like the first book. And so I'm just gonna have to get it and read it so that I can figure out if I want to keep all of these or not. But for now, I'm going to keep them all. Then I have First on Mars by Rex Gordon. The tagline on this says, "The Robinson Crusoe of the Red Planet." So that looks pretty fun. And look at how graphic the back is. Isn't that cool? I'm going to keep this. There is another Ace double feature. We have We the Venusians and The Water of Thought. I started reading this one just because I thought the cover was so cool and I never finished it. And then this is The Water of Thought. So I'm gonna keep this. And then we have another Choose Your Own Adventure. I had a couple up there as well. This is The Perfect Planet by Edward Packard. So it's got a little alien on the cover. This looks really fun. So I'm gonna keep this. I can't believe I haven't read this book yet. It's Norm Macdonald's book based on a true story. Norm Macdonald's one of my favorite comedians, and I feel like I miss him every day, as weird as that sounds. But yeah, I should read this. I have read part of it and I never continued, I'm pretty sure. This next book is from another comedian, Chris Gethard, and it's called Lose Well. I do recall reading a Chris Gethard book, but I don't think I read this Chris Gethard book. Or I just never finished it. Now we have Magical Thinking by Austin Burroughs. Let me look this up. I don't know. They're like short memoir type stories. I'm gonna hold on to it. I don't really know that much about it, and I don't have a reason to get rid of it. But this doesn't like make me want to read it right away, basically. Then we have The Rocks by Peter Nichols, and this was purchased entirely because the cover is really pretty and the font is really pretty. I got this from a thrift store, and I do recall looking at some reviews of this earlier on, and it didn't get good reviews. And it does say that it's like romance, it's like a love story, which I'm not really into. So I think, unfortunately, because it's a very pretty book, I'm just gonna get rid of it. Oh, this is interesting. Then we have A Year in the World by Frances Mays, which is about traveling to the Greek Isles, Morocco, the Turkish coast, Spain, Portugal, Burgundy, southern Italy, and the British Isles. And I think I would like to read a bit more about Morocco. I was really interested in Morocco. I'll be honest, I watched some House Hunters International episodes where they were looking for houses in Morocco, and I was like, this place looks so freaking cool. When I was in high school, I was like really interested in like people's travel memoirs, which is just not me today. I picked up so many of them, and I didn't really read that many of them. Because again, like I was saying, I wasn't like the strongest reader at that time. But I'm gonna keep this. I stole this from my mom. She used to read and reread this series all the time. Robert Jordan's, The Wheel of Time. This is the first book, The Eye of the World, and I just don't think I'm ever gonna have like the mental capacity to follow this many characters and like give a shit. But I have to keep it. I just have to keep it. But I don't think I will ever read this series unless I just marathon it, audiobook 3x. I don't know. It'll take a lot for me to get through this. And then we have Homecoming Volume 3, The Ships of Earth. Same as the other one. I'm just gonna hold on to it. And that's it. We got through it. We got through these 2 shelves. And we're getting rid of... Well, as long as he'll let me. We'll see. We're getting rid of these 4 books. But they're really thick, so I feel like that should count for something because I'll be able to fit more books onto my shelves now. Hello! You've made it to the end of the video where I do an oddly specific book recommendation. So our prompt for today is a book that will transport you to a small coastal town where secrets are whispered among the crashing waves. Oh my gosh, I gotta get Cannery Row. One sec. So Cannery Row is about the people who live on Cannery Row in Monterey. It's set in California in a coastal town where they do a lot of fishing and canning of fish, and it is about the various people who live in this neighborhood. It's been a bit of a while since I read this. I read this when I was in high school before I had to read it mandatorily for high school, and then I had to read it mandatorily, and then I think I read it again for fun as well. I do really enjoy this book, but I just don't really remember all the details. And the other book I have for this that I thought of first is The Wide Window by Lemony Snicket as a part of the series of Unfortunate Events books. This is set along I think it's just a really, really big lake, but there is a hurricane, there's leeches, it's really rainy and stormy and beachy. There is like a fishing industry kind of thing. Is this set in a bay? I always pictured it set in like just a really big lake. But anyway, I will recommend this. If you haven't read the series of Unfortunate Events, they are fun and weird and sad and maybe just a little bit disappointing, but they were super popular when I was a kid. I never read them as a kid. I read them as a teen, and I really liked them. Well, a teen and an adult. I think I finished the series when I was like a working adult. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. I've got some itchy babies today. If you have any book recommendation requests, please leave them in the comments. It would make my day. And I will see you soon.